Andrew Callahan. All right, so look, Jacoby Brissett was bad on Sunday, correct?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So Jacoby Brissett, we all know what he's doing. He's making $8 million. He's being a good soldier. He's taking the hits. He's being the tackling dummy, essentially, so Drake Maye doesn't have to play. But if he continues to be the reason that they're like, he's one of the main reasons they lost that game, would you say?
Yes. For the first time, yes.
Okay. So if that continues, let's start with this. I'm sorry to reverse. This is not a very good interview technique, but let's do this. How big a game is Miami? I'll start with this. How big a game is next week playing Miami in relation to this season? I know it's not, the biggest deal, but as far as this season goes, how big is that game at home against Miami on Sunday?
I'd say their second biggest game of the season because you look at it in a couple different ways. One, it's winnable, right? Number two, it's at home. Number three, the later you get in the season, the more important the games are. But you win that game at Cincinnati, and I remember writing after the fact, like, however the rest of the season goes, that's a moment in time that they can hold on to. They can look at and be like, hey, when we did what Gerard Mayo said in his debut, we'll do something within relative history that's historic. Like, they had not won a game like that as big an underdogs as they were in 8 years. Bill tried to win that way the last 4 years, couldn't do it. That game is going to be among the most important, however this goes. But yeah, it's a big game. They need to get back on track. They need to use the formula that we saw weeks 1 and 2, running the ball, play defense, and not get out coached the way that they have in the last 2 weeks. Because in my opinion, that's as much of a reason that they lost as Jacoby Brissett or some of these defensive breakdowns that we saw in San Francisco.
Right. So it's a get-right game at home against a team that there's no reason they should lose to. Is that a pick 'em right now? I want to go see what that is.
Yeah.
But anyway, say that Brissett struggles in that game. What do you do if you're the Patriots?
Play him again.
Okay.
I mean, I would say this, though. Like, we can parse out struggling. Let's say it was as bad as it was in San Francisco.
Sure.
He gets at least one more start, in my opinion. Not just because I think he was among the reasons you won in Cincinnati and then should have won against Seattle, but also Houston's coming here and they're not messing around. So I'm not going to feed Drake Maye to the Wolves. I'll wait another week if this is the case and this is the outlook to Jacksonville, a team that we know stinks. You're in London. You'll be all right.
Two things. Patriots actually favored by 1.
Okay.
Over under of 35, but
Yeah.
you get that point.
Laying 1.5 on FanDuel.
Okay. So the other question kind of dovetail what you're talking about. Ian Rappaport had something Sunday morning about Drake Maye, the Patriots not believing Drake Maye was anywhere close to being able to play. So it would be Brissett, regardless of how he performs for the near future. Have you heard the same thing?
So what Ian said was he's weeks away. Or, excuse me, ways away.
Yes.
The graphic below on that clip said weeks away. That, of course, had my attention. And I think this is as much a conversation about what Drake Maye's doing in practice, which all accounts, thumbs up. Like, big thumbs up. Talking to guys last week, he's throwing no looks. He's making different reads, baiting safeties, doing all these different things. But also the situation. Because Gerard Mayo said yesterday, what Jacoby Brissett, even at his worst, is giving us is leadership, dependability, and toughness. That's what we need right now. I would argue the same thing. Like, you don't know what Drake Maye is going to be until we see him on the field. And what we saw, honestly, wasn't great against the Jets. It was one drive. Who cares? But that's what you're basing off of if you're saying, okay, we need to put him in. He can do this. Well, this is 4 of 8 for 22 yards. I think right now, Drake Maye should sit on the bench. I think they have the right plan. It's frustrating, but he's going to play.
Okay, so Doug Kyde, your partner at the Herald, was on with Joe yesterday, and Joe asked him this question because I think he's on the same page. Joe is on the same page as me. Why don't you bring in another veteran quarterback? I'm going to ask you this every week, but I am. And now there's a different reason, too. A, the logic of having Drake Maye come in just because Brissett gets hurt. Or B, if Brissett struggles, and Kyde had a good reason why they shouldn't, but I'll get your opinion. You can bring in a vet, and if Brissett sucks again, then you don't lose the team. Conceivably, you don't lose the team because you put that veteran in, and that's gives you a better shot at winning. Now tell me why that's wrong.
So I don't think the Patriots are at risk of losing the locker room like they did last year with Mac Jones when they kept trotting him out because they were like, look, we know this option stinks. his backup, Bailey Zappi, just won't reach out and take the job because he's throwing more picks than Mac is in practice. Because when Jacoby Brissett is getting the snot beat out of him, he's actually engendering more respect in that locker room. They're all watching the same tape going, I can't believe he's getting up. And they said this not after the game on Sunday, when obviously he stunk. They're saying it before the game, the Jets game, the Seahawks game, the Bengals game. He was also voted a captain after being here for a handful of months. And that's it. Like, this is a guy that's been around, know what the deals is, and is still going out there saying, yeah, I'll get hit 10 times a game. I'm still going to get back up. So that's separate from the backup quarterback conversation. I would want one on the practice squad, personally, because you're just not going to play Joe Milton out there, much to my losing my mind moment from 2 weeks ago. But I would want one here. They just think Brissett's going to be durable enough to the point where, okay, he gets hurt in week 7 or 8, we'll play Drake.
See, I think
That's their thinking.
Yeah. And I think for their purposes, which they're never going to state out loud, and they're never going to admit to this, even with the win against Miami on Sunday, because they should, by all accounts, the way that team is behaving right now and all the issues they're going through. This season is not about making the playoffs. It's not even necessarily about getting anywhere close to 500. It's about starting to build something. And if you're talking about bringing in a veteran or someone else, it's all as a means to, get better and win games. And you could be in danger of losing the locker room if you are obviously throwing in the towel. But to make any moves, whether it's bringing in a veteran or doing anything else with the goal of winning football games, that's not really the goal.
No. But that's not necessarily why you bring in the backup. It's to protect Maye. Like that you would bring in there's a different, it would be, I guess, conceivably because Brissett's been struggling, but it also would be as a buffer for Maye. And by the way, Pop Douglas is walking around, pouting on you saw that. Pop Douglas is pouting, players are getting, Doug thought that there was a chance that players could get a little, that Mayo could start losing them a little bit, based on like body language and things that he's seeing as it goes on, but you disagree with that.
Yeah, I think if you look at the receivers, they're going to lead the league in pouting, no matter what team you're talking about.
But maybe be
I'm
better
not getting the ball, right? And I would say too, they've got gripes not just with the quarterback, but with coaching. Like the Patriots did try out this new quick passing plan that, for the most part, got the ball out of Jacoby Brissett's hands quicker than they had been. The issue is these routes are all in isolation. There's no motion. There's no assistance.
Right.
We're going to create stress in the defense with the way that these routes intersect. And we'll have you go in motion and then start the play and then have you turn upfield like you see a lot of teams do, like San Francisco, who did this all day Sunday. So what you're asking them to do is, hey, you need to win one-on-one. You need to do it really quickly. And when the other team knows you're getting the ball out, they drive on everything, which they did. Like, how many 3-yard curl routes did we see? This was 3 yards in a cloud of curl on Sunday, and they got so many passes batted away. You're going, how? Like, I get
AC Green.
This counts
in a dust storm.
This counts as like a quick passing plan, but you pulled this out of the discount bin all the way at the bottom for what's available.
That was Soglow's main competitor for a while.
Absolutely.
Cloud of curl.
I'll tell you this.
From the stain on the wall.
Yeah, that's right. All right, listen. So let's get into Alex Van Pelt when we come back, because Alex Van Pelt there's a lot to ask. Is the pieces he has, is the strategy he has, as you just talked about? We'll get into all that.
I also want to ask Andrew something that kind of is to your point, Fred, about the protection of Drake Maye and how much more Jacoby Brissett is going to be able to take, because Andrew pointed out a couple of hits that Brissett took in that game. And like, I don't know how he's getting up either.
It's insane.
Yeah, I know. It's basically you're getting $8 million to be hurt.
Yeah, you're not going to make it to
get beat up.
Yeah, you're getting $8. I mean, you could get a guy
kicked out.
You could have gotten someone for less, but he's earning every bit of that $8 million. I mean, he didn't play well, but I mean, he's a tackling dummy right now. That offensive line is one of the worst. I mean, I don't break down every film of every game, but that's one of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen.
If you like that clip, and how could you not? Check out more videos from Toucher and Hardy here. Point slightly up and to the left. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. Point slightly down and to the left. And for the latest from the Sports Hub, download at 985thesportshub.com.